Renting the old, quaint house for the summer felt like stepping into another world. Nestled in the countryside, it was everything I had envisioned. A perfect retreat from the chaos of city life. The house exuded charm with its ivy-draped walls, creaky wooden floors, and the sweet scent of blooming flowers wafting through open windows. At first, it was everything I had dreamed of. Days passed in a soothing rhythm, each filled with long strolls through the surrounding fields, quiet evenings spent with a good book, and the quiet bliss of solitude. If you've ever rented a vacation home or spent time in an unfamiliar house, you know how comforting it can be to have a space all to yourself. But as the days turned into weeks, an uneasy feeling crept in. It was subtle at first, like an itch in the back of my mind, a sense that something was slightly off, something just beneath the surface of this picturesque escape. It wasn't long before I discovered the source of that feeling. It started with a door in the basement. I spotted it a few days after moving in while organizing boxes in the dim light of a single bare bulb swaying from the ceiling. The basement was unfinished. Concrete walls, a damp, musty smell hanging in the air. The kind of place that felt as though it held secrets. And it did. The door was small, nearly concealed in the shadows at the far end of the basement. It was made of heavy wood with an old-fashioned brass handle that caught the dim light just enough to draw my eye. Curious, I tried to open it, but the handle wouldn't budge. It was locked. When I asked the landlord about it the next day, his response was curt. "That room's off limits," he said, his tone sharp and final. "Not part of the rental. Just leave it alone." His words only fueled my curiosity. What could be in there? Why was it off limits? Every trip to the basement after that, my eyes would drift toward the door, my mind buzzing with possibilities. The mystery gnawed at me until one evening, while tidying up after dinner, I found the key. It was tucked away at the back of a kitchen drawer, as though someone had tried to hide it. If you've ever found something unusual in a rental, an old letter, a strange trinket, then you know how that moment can feel. The moment I saw it, I knew exactly what it was for. The temptation was too strong to resist. Heart pounding, I descended the basement stairs, each creak of the wood beneath my feet feeling louder than it should. I hesitated before the door, the key cold in my hand. Part of me knew I should respect the landlord's warning, but curiosity won out. Slowly, I slid the key into the lock and turned it. The soft click of the mechanism echoed in the still basement air. The door swung open, revealing a room unlike any other part of the house. Pristine, spotless, and eerily still. The air was cool and unmoving, as though it had been sealed away for years. Inside, everything was meticulously arranged. A small table with a single chair, shelves lined with old books and trinkets, and a large cabinet against the far wall. But what seized my attention were the photographs. They were everywhere. Dozens, no hundreds, of black and white photographs neatly framed and arranged on the walls, shelves, and even scattered on the floor. The subjects of these photos sent a shiver down my spine. They were all of me. My breath caught in my throat as I stepped closer. Each image captured me in familiar scenes. Walking through the garden, sitting on the porch, reading in the living room. Some were from recent days, others from the moment I'd arrived. The more I looked, the more unease crept in. How had these been taken without me noticing? My breath quickened as I recognized something even more disturbing. Some of the photos were taken from inside the house. Images of me cooking in the kitchen, lounging in the living room, sitting at the desk in the study. The angles of the shots suggested they were taken from the shadows, as if someone had been watching and waiting for the right moment. This is the part of the story that's easy to dismiss as fiction, but it's worth noting that rental horror stories like this aren't unheard of. There are documented cases of hidden cameras found in Airbnbs and vacation rentals. If you're ever in a rental, consider doing a quick scan for unusual devices or hidden lenses. You can even use your phone's flashlight to spot reflections from hidden camera lenses. Panic surged through me. I stumbled back, heart racing. I slammed the door shut, locking it with trembling hands before bolting up the stairs. The key felt heavy in my pocket, and I shoved it back into the kitchen drawer, as though putting it away could somehow undo everything I'd seen. That night, sleep eluded me. Every creak of the old house, every whisper of the wind outside, jolted me awake. My ears strained for the sound of footsteps in the hallway, the quiet padding of someone moving unseen. But the night passed in silence. The house was still, too still. The next morning, I tried to rationalize it. Maybe the photos were left behind by a previous tenant, a strange but ultimately harmless collection. Maybe the landlord didn't even know they were there. But deep down, I knew that wasn't true. Days passed before I summoned the courage to return to the basement. The door to the secret room looked just as I'd left it. My heart pounded as I placed my hand on the key, debating whether to go back inside. I knew I shouldn't, but I had to know. I turned the key and pushed the door open. The sight that greeted me made my breath catch in my chest. The room looked the same, but the photographs had changed. They were no longer black and white. They were in full color now, and the clarity was unsettling. Each photo was sharper, the details clearer. My pulse quickened as I realized what I was looking at. Every single photo was of me, asleep in my bed. If you've ever felt the fear of being watched, you know that cold, crawling sensation at the back of your neck. It's one of the most primal fears we have. And at that moment, I felt it in full force. Fear surged through me. I stumbled backward, tripping over the threshold as I fled the room. The key slipped from my fingers, clattering to the ground. I didn't care. I ran up the stairs, heart thundering, grabbing my phone, my bag, anything I could. Within the hour, I'd packed my belongings and was speeding away from that house, my eyes constantly checking the rearview mirror. I didn't tell the landlord why I was leaving early. I didn't ask for a refund. I just needed to be gone. As I drove away, I glanced in the mirror one last time, half expecting to see someone standing at the window, watching me leave. But the house stood still, silent, its secrets hidden behind its quaint exterior. If you're ever in a similar situation, if something feels wrong, if your instincts tell you to leave, trust them. Your safety is worth more than a refund.